Okay, now this is going to be a weird lesson. I'm right in front of my TV with my iPad next to me, mirroring the homework for next week on the television screen behind me. Clearly, my television in my home is not nearly as nice and as large as the one in my classroom, so I'm actually on my knees to teach you this math lesson. Now, that may seem really weird to you, but not nearly as weird as it does to me. I'm actually going to be writing on my own TV like I would my board and my television in the classroom. So, I've got my trusty microfiber, my favorite purple marker, my iPad, and the lesson in front of us. So, if I can make a sacrifice and get on my knees to teach this lesson to you, we can all hang together and do this. Alright? This will be a fairly short lesson. I introduced it yesterday with the concept of volume to you. Now remember, we said volume, of course, was the ability to pack these little tiny boxes inside of a space. Like, toilet paper inside of a closet, that old kind of joke there. Although given a few more weeks for some people, that lack of toilet paper may not be that funny anymore, right? Well, here we go. On the left-hand side of the screen over here, or at least my left, I have a cube. Base, which is this bottom part down here, which is basically a square. So in order to find the area for a square, you're going to go length times width. Now what they're telling you is, we know that if you take that 7 here times that 4 here, that gives you 28. So the area of the bottom of this cube is going to be 28. That means if I take that 7 times 4 and then I times it by 6, I'm going to get the entire volume. Because 7 times 4 gives me that first layer of that flat square on the bottom. But volume is the concept of where it layers up again and again and again and again and again. Sort of like when you're dreaming of, your fancy wedding and you want a multiple layer cake and it has to be 12 layers thick and it's going to look beautiful and awesome and great. And then as you carry it in, you trip and fall and you're back down to 1 layer. No, I didn't have that experience at mine, but we didn't really have a real wedding like that either, so hey, it's okay. Now, you've got 7 times 4, which is going to give you 28, then 28 times 6. That's going to give you your overall volume. Now, the one thing to remember about this is area is always squared like we talked about, but volume, because it's 3 dimensions, is always going to be cubed. So every unit is going to be a cubic unit, okay? Now, this short video is going to be based just on volume by itself. Sorry, no editing on my videos, so you get the real one-shot deal. Now, in this case, they showed that 7 times 4 gives you 28, and then they're going to take that base, which is this down here, times it by the height, so 28 times 6 gives you 168 centimeters cubed. So the volume is 168 cubic centimeters. Now, if I go to the next section, which is a cylinder, okay? A cylinder is like a can of soup or, a soda can or anything like that. You find the area of the circle on the bottom, which we know is pi r squared. So pi r squared, of course, take 3.14 for pi, that's your approximation, and then square the radius, okay? Now the squaring something means when you take the number and you times it by itself again. So like 5 squared is 25. We've been over this in class, you should remember it, hopefully I haven't forgotten this soon. So in this case, if you're going to take, the radius is 10, and 10 times 10 is 10 squared, which is 100, and 100 times 3.14 gives me 314. That's the area just for the portion down here. All right? So the same way we found the area for the base here, we'll find the area for the base here. The base gives the overall shape of what the 3-dimensional object is going to be like. In this case, a circle makes a cylinder, and a square makes a cube. In this case over here, it's going to be a triangle, making a triangular prism. Now, if you know that the area of the circle is pi r squared, the area of a square is length times width, you also know that the area of a triangle, remember there's 2 different variations, I kind of gave it to you, base times height, all right, half of that, or you can have base times height divided by 2. It's the same thing. Some people like to sit there and multiply by a fraction, other people like to divide by 2. Personally, I'll stick with dividing by 2. Now, in reality, being this close to the TV on my knees trying to teach isn't all that great, so at some point I may actually just wander down in my classroom and record a couple lessons while I'm in front of the big TV. It might make things a little bit easier. I'll keep an eye on maybe doing that next week, we'll see. I'm also thinking about a live stream next week, so I'll try and send out an email for everybody to do that, or to stream a lesson live off YouTube, and you guys can tune in at a certain time for that. We'll see how that goes. Got to play things by ear because this is a totally new situation we find ourselves in. Now, once I have the area down here, or even over here, once I get the area for that, I'm always going to times it by the height of the object. This is the height here, this is the height here, and this is the height here. So for example, 7 times 4 gives me 28, I times it by 6. This gives me 314, I times it by 20. This over here, of course, is going to give me 10, and I times it by 10. Because 5 times 4 is 20, and half of that is going to be 10. So base times height divided by 2 for my triangle, pi r squared for my circle, which goes to my cylinder, and then of course length times width, which goes to my cube. Now when I'm going over this and recording this, you can of course replay this video to look at it step by step. Because I have to admit, this lesson does not go quite as smoothly on my knees as it does if I was standing in front of a large classroom. But live and learn. We're all trying something new. Okay, going over the bottom of the homework. Let me erase some of this stuff and see if it comes off my TV. Ooh, yes, please, 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 please. All right, and we have mostly success. Okay, good. Whew. My wife is going to really be mad at me if I hadn't got that one right. Now, complete to find the volume to the nearest tenth of a unit. All right, you can see my little face in the corner of the screen here. All right, so in this case, they give you these little lines. I would ignore them, okay? I would ignore that. And remember that in order to find the volume, you're going to basically go length times width times height. So any cube or rectangular prism, you're going to multiply these 3 numbers, length, width, and height. Now for the cylinder, you find the area of the circle and then times it by this height here, okay? So what they give you here is pi r squared, which is the area for that circle, times the height. Again, nothing shocking, nothing new. These little fill-in-the-blank lines are meant to help you out. I've always found them to be a little bit more confusing. Let me get some of the stuff off the TV so we can move forward from here. Now, as we go over these homework things, just like anything else, you can ask questions. You're wondering how you're going to ask questions like this right now? You discovered my trap. You have to email the question usually. There is this utility Zoom, which is on your Chromebook, which you might be able to try too. It sends out an invitation for a specific time, which is like a video conference call. We may try one of those a little bit later on, maybe next week or a week after as well. I'll have to tell you, I did that with 20 other teachers at school, and it's really weird. Ms. Monahan's cat jumped up in her lap. That was kind of funny. All right, as I go here, you need to continue to find the volume. Find the volume of the cylinder, find the volume of the rectangular prism, and find the volume of the triangular prism. So, from the beginning, find the area of the circle, pi r squared, then multiply it by the height. On this rectangular prism again, length, width, and height, multiply all 3 numbers. The triangular prism, find the area of the triangle. 1.8 by 2.1. Multiply them, divided by 2. And then you have to multiply it by one more number, which is going to be that height of the prism, which is 3.7. After you've got that done, remember, all units are cubic units. So, in this case, inches cubed. In this case, centimeters cubed. Over here again, centimeters cubed, meters cubed. Ooh, sorry about that. Fingers get in the way. And then again, meters cubed. All right, so you've had a brief lesson. It's like 9 minutes long. I walked through the homework. The good news is you can replay it if you want to. The bad news is you'd be replaying it, looking at the side of my face and listening to my voice again and again and again and again. Now, wrapping up this unit. You may be wondering why this little lesson's a little different. Literally, I was on my knees in front of the television. As you can tell, I have some support staff in the room. I have Chuck, he's always helping me. Then I have Lita, she's kind of helping me. But they're both basically just laying there sleeping. They're not very helpful. All right, quick scan of my downstairs, just because some of you may be interested like that. All right, yes, I know, over in the kitchen. I know, look at those sanitary products. That's right, wipes and spray and things like that for when you go in and go out. All right, I hope you guys are all doing well. I really miss you. I wish I was back in the classroom. I wish you guys were back in the classroom with me too. I wish I had a really witty joke to tell you, but I don't right now. Every video that I put up that's a little bit longer takes a lot longer to upload. I did like a 15-minute video. It took 33 minutes on my little Wi-Fi connection to get it loaded up. And I'm actually working off of one of the little MacBook 11-inch ones that the computer lab had because my big MacBook, the camera didn't work. So I'm trying a bunch of different things. And I hope you guys are doing well. Remember, weekend's coming. I'm not doing homework on the weekend, okay? Check out CavNet, look for the due date. All right? Take it easy. I wish I had something really witty to say here, but I don't. Bye.